Sure, yes, this is correct. My name is Ayak Mayo, and I'm a 21-year-old candidate. This was the first parliamentary election where I could vote, and I could vote for myself because I was running. That was amazing. I'm feeling really good. We got 1,989 votes. We did it on a really small budget. We used less than 3,000 euros. And as I understood, this was the first time that Left Alliance got a huge victory since '95. I was not even alive then. and I'm really happy. I'm really proud of my team and every single person that helped me, supported me, and voted for me. This is amazing. But at the same time, I'm quite sad, a bit scared, and I have some amount of aggression in me because at the same time that the Left Alliance got this victory, a party that is, well, I can say it like I see it, is quite racist and fast and doing quite concerning politics towards so many different minority groups, almost got the most votes. It was the second running up. And for me, like, this is 2019, and we speak of ourselves, we speak of Finland as the nation that is leading in the polls of equality. And this is what's happening. People decided to vote for these people that do not think that every single human being in this world is as valuable. The nature is not as valuable, and other species are not as valuable as some amount of people that however they describe a person who is valuable. And it's really concerning, and I'm quite disappointed. But it's weird to be happy and sad at the same time. It's hard for me to speak for the whole youth of the world. I can only speak for myself. Yeah. And for me, what was, when I was in my teens, early teens, made me go further from politics was, for example, in 2011, this fascist and racist party got a victory for the first time. And I was about 13 at the time. And for me, that was kick in the stomach. Like, I am not wanted in this country. I'm not wanted in the society that I live in. And so for me to try to affect it, that's not my place to be. So that for me was like a step back. Also, I don't think that the youth do not care. I don't think that they do not care. I think the message is not being told us in a way it's supposed to be said. I think we live on this information era. Every single person has the smartphone, and we have the biggest computer on the palm of our hands at all times. We have so much knowledge. Like these teens that I've met, these youngsters that I've met during this 6 months period are so smart. They know so much, and they have the biggest hearts. The older generation have failed in is bringing us the message. What is our power and how can we affect it? Also, the reason I chose politics now at age of 21 instead of everything else that I feel I could be doing, I'm a creative mind. I would like to go and make a lot of mistakes in my own privacy, and now I'm doing it in front of the whole world, which is really scary. But the thing that brought me here was I was doing my second degree level studies, and in that 4-year time, I was doing my vocational studies in high school at the same time. And in that time, the Finnish politics, our country's leaders decided that they want to put young people between 15 and 18 or so on in unequal situations, like put them on different pedestals. So what they did was they cut 190 million euros from vocational studies and did absolutely nothing to the high school studies. So for me, it was mind-blowing, because the kids in vocational studies are usually the kids that have more challenges in life. They have less resources behind them to build a life they want to build. And I was like, this is a kick in the stomach. This is seriously cutting the branch we're sitting on. Our future generations. We talk about we cannot be in debt with the cost of our future generations, but we're doing exactly that. We're taking all the possibilities for our youngsters to build a life for themselves away by risking their studies. And for me, it brought up so much rage behind me. I was like, what is behind this? I did not know at that time. And I did not know. But I had this really smart teacher who was like, if you want the knowledge, I will give it to you. And this is what you can check it. And he gave me this knowledge. And I was like, wow, is it so? Can this be? Like, you have all this knowledge and you do it anyways. The only reason, like in 8 years, we were told no amount of money will be taken out of education. And in 8 years, they took 1.5 billion euros out of education. 1.5 billion. And in 4 years, we gave tax cuts for the same amount of money for the richest people in this country. And it made me so angry. I felt like I cannot just sit and talk. I need to try to change something. Also, when it comes to the biggest crisis the human and all of the world faces, our global climate crisis, we are being told for 40 years, all these people have known. They have, like, the leading people in this country, in this world, have said that the world is on fire and we need to put the flames down. And our leaders have said, no, we care more about money and we care more about whatever the excuses are instead of our future. And I, in my head, I saw that the only reason this is possible is because we're not there negotiating. Because we, the students, are not there negotiating for our future. We're not being heard. We can talk. What I think is important, what the left youth does, is we say that we have an effect on the streets and on the cabinets. But we're screaming from the top of our lungs on the streets, but we're not being heard because we do not have we don't have the mandate, we don't have the power to do politics, to decide how do we use the common wealth we have. And that is the only reason they can keep on destroying our future. And that's what I think we need to change on. And for me, as a 21-year-old, and for other young people who are, not just young people, but every single person who cares about the future of our youth needs to understand is the only reason why these things can be done. Say we will not cut any money from education and do exactly that. We will not cut money from the people that are poor and do exactly that. And say we will do everything in our power to put down the flames that the earth is facing, but do absolutely nothing for that, is because we're not there. We're not negotiating. And I'm sick and tired, and I will go through mountains and try to do this, be there negotiating. There's so much emotions in me. I feel like I keep stuttering, but yeah, this is what I feel. My story in Finland started in 2001. I came as a refugee, me and my family, and Oulu was my first city in Finland. And I lived there for about 12 years of my life. And for me, because I'm a black woman, black girl at that time, me being a foreign person could not be hidden. So what I've been receiving for most of the lifetime that I have memories from, is a lot of hate. And when I was a child, it was really difficult for me to understand, because when you're a child, you just want to play and you just want to have friends. You don't care what they look like or what not. You just want to have friends. And so many young children, young white children, were thought that I am somehow wrong. This has been the story that I've been living for about 17 years now. What am I? Yes, about that amount of time. So that's a hell of a long time to hear that, go away. You're not welcome. We don't want you. And at some point, you need to decide, will you fight or will you go away and have peace? And for me, what I've learned for myself is that the only way I know how to be is to fight for that better future that I want to see happening. So that's how I think that's how I got into this point that I am at now. What you say about other people, how we're being told that the human value belongs to everyone and we want everyone, but we don't. It does not manifest in actions. I feel that and I know that because that's my reality. But we need to remember that when, for example, for me, that I've been through, has been inflicted by the few. But the common thing with me and the few is me. The few people that for some reason have so much rage and hatred in themselves and want to inflict it on a 4-year-old child or a 21-year-old child. But the majority of the people are not like this. But the problem is that the majority of the people, for some reason, they're scared. They do not speak out. They do not act. And that is something we need to change because for the majority of the people, they don't hear us when we say, I'm hurting, because they do not meet the few that have that hatred and inflict that hatred on me. And even if they did meet the few, they would not recognize, they would not see them because they're protected. Whether it was their skin color that protects them, or their gender, or their amount of money they have, or whatnot. But they do not see that. At that point, I think there's a limit. Where is my responsibility to educate people, to scream and to fight? And when does that responsibility go to the majority of the people that do not suffer the same consequences? For them to get that knowledge, for them to speak, for them to fight as well. Because there's a limit where, for example, in Oulu, my family lives there at the moment, and my mother called me the day after the elections, and they said that this party that wants to change the rules of Finland again won. And she said that, you know what, Ayak, I think it's time for us to leave. We've been told so many times it's time for us to leave. And I was like, I hear you, Mom. And she lives in that city, and ever since that the horrible sexual assaults and whatnot happened, it was like we're being blamed for things we have not been doing. I've never raped anyone, I've never killed anyone, I've never done this thing. Why am I getting the blame? The country that I fled from before I even knew how to walk, at the moment is the third leading country in amount of refugees that flee in the whole wide world. Over 300,000 children, about half the population of Finland's capital city, are facing famine. South Sudan, the country that I fled from, is leading in amount of child mortality and women who cannot read. So who is to say that this destiny belongs to someone else? For my brothers and sisters and siblings in South Sudan, but not for me. But for some reason I'm here now, and for some reason I got the best daycare, best basic education, best vocational education, and best high school in the world. People are more educated in Finland, like teachers are more educated in Finland than doctors are in, for example, in the US. And for that I'm forever grateful. And I want to give my heart to this country and all the things that I've got. But this mental pay in here is too much. We're told that you need to be grateful for what you get. But when does that gratitude become, like, what is the cost of that gratitude? Other thing we lead in Finland, as well as having the best education in the world, amongst other things, is at some point we had the highest amount of people killing themselves. At some point we had the second highest amount of women being harmed in close relations in the whole EU. And we're still sterilizing, forcing transgender people not to have the possibility to have children in order for them to have that body they identify with. We're still holding hostage the lands of our natives, the Sami people. We're still telling the Romas who have lived in this country for 500 years that you're not allowed to have a job and go and create yourself whatever you want to. What you said about you living in Rovaniemi and in the northern part of Finland, and for like you receive, different kind of treatment and people belittling your human worth. Like you see it happening with people from South Korea, with people from Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, whatnot. It says that we've done something so wrong for so long. For example, one of the biggest parties in Finland have been talking about using the Canada's model in Finland, which is Canadians. What I've understood is they give points to immigrants on their how much money they have, what languages they speak, what is their education and whatnot. But one thing that Canada does that Finland is absolutely not doing is when they speak about immigrants or refugees or minorities, they never speak of them as a threat. They never speak of them as a threat to security. And what has Finland been doing for the past, ever since I've known how to read, is every single time there's a name drop that is not Pekka or Anna, there's a sign of threat. That our whole existence is a threat to this country's safety. That some people are predators and some people are the prey. And for some reason, we that have been punched on the ground and kicked again are always the predators, and the people that are the majority and have the luxury of living in the country that we're born in and have their roots in, for some reason they're always the prey. And I'm like, how? Why? You're speaking of children. You're speaking of people that have been forced to leave their home because there's a war. There's something happening around them. Nobody chooses to do this just for fun. Nobody just is born and be like, oh, I want to travel across the country where I know no language. I have no history. I do not know anybody. I have to leave my mother, my parent, my sister, my whole family, and go into this country for fun. Nobody chooses to do this. Also, okay, some people come and study and whatnot, but we're trying to build a future for ourselves. And most of the people in this world are not trying to do it to harm other people. That's not. Nobody goes to university and gets a diploma just to harm another person. Nobody forces. I don't know how many times I have to say it and how many different ways there are to say these things. But I think what we need to stop doing is speaking of people as if they don't deserve to live, as if people are not equal to each other's and the nature and other animals, and what every species were damn near destroyed the coral reefs of the world. 98% of them were destroyed. So many species were facing the 6th extinction of species. There's so many ways, so many wrongdoing in this world, and it starts to wear. That's a lot of things. I think this is quite a big thing for a 21-year-old to carry. And what you said earlier about the youth not voting enough, I think I can relate to them in the sense I'm having mixed feelings of, do I want to do this? Like, can I have peace? Can I go to an island where nobody knows my name, where nobody sees my skin color, where nobody sees my gender or my age or whatnot, and I can just lay and sleep and have a good night's sleep? I don't remember when it was the last time I slept well. But at the same time, I could not live with myself if I was not trying to be the change I want to see in the world. I think we need to do less of speaking about equality and start doing hell of a lot more. Because I believe with all my being that we can. That's the only reason hope is the only reason why people do this. They have a hope of something better that is possible in the future when they visualize it. And now they're trying to go towards it. But we need to do it together, because nobody can do it alone. Okay, so for now, my goals were to speak to my people, and whoever sees themselves as my people, that is who I'm talking about. Like I said, I'm 21 years old, And the amount of people, like Finns, people that are allowed to vote under 29, that voted in the last parliamentary elections were 47%, give or take. So over 50% of our youth thought that our future is not something we can or we want to have an effect on. And for me, this was appalling. Like, how is this possible? So I saw that my mission was to speak especially to the youth, to me, to myself. Our future is ours, and we have all the power and we have all the right, and as a matter of fact, a responsibility to do what we can to have an effect on it. So what I did was, I do not have a university degree, so all this political knowledge was quite difficult for me to process, but what I did was I tried to gather as much as possible, process it for myself, and then bring it out in a way that every single person can have that same knowledge and speak in a way that is understandable. Because what I see happening is so many politicians speak so much, but they say very little. So they keep talking and they use such words and such phrases that nobody really understands what is being said. And for me, this is stupid. Like, why would you do that? And so that's what I tried to do. And I spoke my truth, and I spoke the things I cared about with all my being. And me and my team, what we did was we tried to have as many channels as we could handle them. We had audio, we had visuals, we had texts, and so forth. And it worked. It worked. Like 1,988 people besides myself gave their vote. And there were so many other people that supported me but could not vote because they were not in my district. And that was quite heartwarming. And so many, like, so many young people, so young as 15 and whatnot, said that for the first time in my life, I'm actually interested in politics, and I feel like I can have effect on my future. And I was like, yes, victory, do it. We can do it together. Let's go. And that was like, this was the biggest victory I felt happened. What you said about getting the youth activated. The only reason why, for example, me and my team got 1,989 votes is because I am speaking as one of them, as one of us. People listen to their people. I will not have this conversation. I can have a conversation, but I will not receive it in the same way with a 51-year-old middle-aged man, millionaire man. You're speaking a whole nother language. We can speak the same language, but this is not, the experience is not the same. So get the youth to speak to the youth. I want to hear my people talk to me, and my people want to hear me talk to them. That's the short answer, I suppose. Also, one thing I have to say, because this is going to South Korea, we see a lot of things happening in the whole wide world, and I know for especially us, the youth, we have such huge hearts. I'm sure other people as well do, and we want to cure the whole world at an instant. I think UK's head secretary, or whoever said this once, think globally but act locally. And that is something I think people should take with them to the grave. You cannot heal everything. For example, for me in South Sudan, hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, I cannot, but I'm here, and I can try to do, I see it, I'm aware of it, and I think of it, but I'm acting here where I am. That's all.